Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, now we are definitely on the fly. We're going to do the best we can with the sound because we got kicked out of social media studios, y'all. Yep, we got kicked right on out. We are in the midst of the food giveaway today at the campaign office. If you're within the sound of my voice and you are so West Philly, just like me, so I'm calling on my friends and neighbors out here in the Haddington area, Dunlap, Cedar Park, Carroll Park, East Park Side, Cathedral Park, Belmont, West Powelton, Allegheny West, Lehigh Avenue West. If you're from Winfield Heights, traveling right on over there, 5 Points. We are within the sound of my voice. You know, nothing's more than a 15-minute drive through from district to district. We're at 111 North 55th Street. That's between Race and Arch. Come on now, everybody knows the dead end that is the Salvation Army. And you can come out and visit me on the block where I was born, raised, and grew up, and in the neighborhood that I still live in. So I came to you very, very briefly with a curbside conversation, and you know what? It sparked more questions. And so it's so funny, right? When I tell y'all we got kicked out of social media studios, y'all see my background is missing, my fabulous lighting is missing. I didn't even get a chance to change my clothes because they said, "Oh, you got to go right now, right now." Why? Because we're supposed to be giving out, doing the food giveaway between 4 and 6, and you know this is the campaign that turns on a pivot, turns on a dime, and we respond quickly. So what happened? Our food delivery, they gave us a window that was like 8 hours, like we were Comcast. They were like, we'll be there between 9 and 5. Well, we weren't going to have folks just sitting outside waiting on the food to get delivered. We weren't going to turn folks away like that. So instead, what we did was we made the food distribution between 4 and 6 p.m. We got our volunteers here and we were ready. And what happened? The food delivery was at 8:50 a.m. this morning. So we got our folks from neighborhood churches to store the food for us, and we could get it all inside, properly stored and refrigerated, so that we were making sure that it was served safe and that we were handling it properly, especially in light of Corona. So now we had to move the food twice, basically. And so we had many, many volunteers. They're all over the office space today, making sure that we get these things out. So if you are around, if you are in need, if you know someone who's in need in our community, please reach out to us. If you aren't able to get here, you know, we make sure that we handle our seniors. These boxes are heavy and sometimes they can't get them. Call us at 267-291-4702, 267-291-4702. We've got 5 people answering the campaign phone lines right now because they've actually been ringing off the hooks. So we're going to have some fun. It was nice to do a little bit of stoop sitting today. I don't know about you, but I'm so West Philly. It's as soon as it gets a little bit warm, there is nothing better than sitting outside on the step. And it's one of those joys that, you know, we've been missing because I'm a people watcher. I don't know about you, but I love to sit on the step and just talk to the folks. And that's how you really get to know what's going on in the neighborhood, who needs what's going on, what changes are going on. Hey, you learn it from the barbershop, the beauty salon, and sitting on the stoop in the summer. And so we're missing all of those things, the barbershop, the beauty salon, and missing on the stoop. But today I got to get to do a little bit of stoop sitting because they put me out. They said, no, you got to get out the way now. So basically I was just in the way. So it's great. You can talk to the people and you can do the signing, but you got to get out the way because we're moving this here thing. And I appreciate the team for that. And then they said, oh, well, you're doing this at 3:30? Oh, we thought you weren't doing it. Because, of course, the way things work out, the line is outside at 3. So it's like, okay, what do? Let's take away campaign social media studios because we need to make sure that we can move the sign in off the streets and to make sure that folks are getting their request for mail ballots. And so I did the curbside conversation earlier today, and what happened? It sparked more questions in my inbox. And it's a really confusing process, which is one of the reasons, as you all know, I've been advocating about the changes that are necessary in Act 77 since before we actually had the pandemic. I announced that we had some new procedures, but they didn't think we were going to be using these new procedures so much right now. So again, we're just going to do a little background. back in October of 2019. It was the biggest change to our voter law in Pennsylvania in 100 years. So Governor Wolf signed it into law the first time it was going to go into effect. He signed it in October to be used in the presidential primary in April. So they had 6 months from the giddy up of this here thing to get together exactly how it was going to work. As a part of Act 77, there was new monies put out for the new machines that were going to be more technologically savvy so that we could have education around how to function with those machines. But we didn't put out new money to figure out how to do the mail-in balloting. So now we have no excuse mail-in balloting, which is very, very different from absentee balloting. And that's kind of the confusion that we're getting right now. Those were all the questions. People keep asking me, can I have an absentee ballot? Can I have an absentee ballot? You're not absent. They are not absentee ballots. So one more time, because I know it's difficult. And this is one of those things. I actually had to go and read the law to understand the law and then get the interpretations of the law. But hey, it's what lawyers do every single day, and I'm here to help you with this. So absentee ballots means that you are absent and unable to vote. So absent means I'm absent from the home. I may be having a surgery. I'm going to be in the hospital. I'm in a nursing home. It means that I am absent from my residence. I am away at school. I can't vote. It means that I am absent from the jurisdiction. I am in the military and I am stationed overseas. I am on vacation. It conflicts with those things. And that's what an absentee ballot is. And so we're very confused because we mail in absentee ballots. Right? Right. That is where this process and what we know as absentee ballots end. The only similarity is that you put it in the mail. That's the only thing. Okay? Now, with no excuse mail-in balloting. So that's what we have now. No excuse mail-in balloting, and it is very, very different. No excuse mail-in ballots means I can mail in my ballot for any reason. It doesn't have to be because I'm away from home, because I'm on vacation, because I'm in the hospital. It can just mean I don't want to go to the polls. I don't like it there. I don't want to spend my time doing that. I want to make sure that, I'm using my time effectively. Now, the thought is that this process will actually expand our voting base, that we're going to have so many more people who are going to vote because we're going to make it easier. But Act 77 didn't make it easier here in Pennsylvania, clearly from all of the questions. Why didn't it make it easier? Because what was a one-stop process, which was go to the poll and vote, or a two-step process, which is get an absentee ballot and mail it in, turn to a three-stop process, which is go formally request the ballot, get the ballot mailed to you, and then mail the ballot back. And they just printed the ballots about 2 weeks ago. So that meant that they just finalized it. And why that's important. So when we started this process over here in the 190th, there were 79,000 people running for the office. I mean, I don't know how many there really were because as far as I'm concerned, there's only me. And that's where I'm concerned. I can't run anybody else's race, and I can't be worried about who else I'm running against. I have to make sure that I am trying to respond to the constituents. I am making sure that we make a plan for our future together. And I'm making sure that we help the constituents make it through, navigate these COVID streets, and make sure that when we're done with COVID, because there's going to be a post-COVID world, and I want to make sure that the folks in the 190th are ready for that, meaning that we have a plan for education, that we know where our economics are going to come from and how it's going to benefit us, that we know how we're going to access healthcare and how we can have improved healthcare delivery in our community, so that we know how we're going to care for our seniors and provide for them economically, health-wise, and mentally and emotionally, because that's very, very important. That's what the Danielle Patterson for State Rep campaign is all about. It's about making sure that we understand our past, that we are living in the best present that we can be, so that we can plan for an even brighter tomorrow. Our future is going to be even better. So what happens with this three-step voting? Right. Let's talk about it. So way back when we started, there were all these candidates. And now there are not. There are only a few. Okay, there are only few, and the one that we're going to talk about is Danielle Patterson, button number 17. She is on the road with Joe, so you will see her as the first name listed beneath Joe Biden on your ballot for your state representative. Again, where are you going to find me? You're going to find Danielle Patterson on the road with Joe, button number 17. The only attorney running in this race, the only woman from West Philadelphia, born, raised, and still living in this jurisdiction in this race. I'm the only person in this race who's ever drafted legislation before. Yes, I drafted it. I have actually sat down with Congressman Gray in his offices as we figured out about the McBirth bill, working on the caucus to figure out how we can get these things through Congress. I have actually drafted legislation. Those are some things that I am the only one who was in this race who has ever done. And that's very, very important because this race, in the end, once we're done with the race, then once we're done with COVID, we got to make sure that we have some laws in effect that benefit us. But that's an aside. So because there were so many folks in the race, and there's this whole process that we go through, and folks decide they don't want to run, folks get challenged off the ballot, like other candidates decide, I don't want you on the ballot, and they try, there's like, okay, well, you didn't file this, or you didn't do that, and folks get dropped off the ballot for those reasons. Finances take people off the ballot. Y'all know that. When you saw the presidential race, that if there were 20,000 running for the state rep race, there were 99 million running for the presidential race on the Democratic ticket at the beginning of this here thing. And now you see we've got two in Pennsylvania. There's Bernie Sanders and there's Joe Biden. And yes, Bernie Sanders is still on the ballot, but I am not on the ballot underneath Bernie Sanders. I am on the ballot underneath Joe Biden. I am on the road with Joe, Danielle Patterson, state rep number 17, on running as a Democrat. So now, what happens with that? So you have to wait until you make it through all of that process before the ballot gets certified, meaning these are candidates who are actually running. So I'll give you the best example of that. In New York, there's the whole thing as to whether or not Bernie Sanders is even going to be on the ballot, because technically he already conceded the race. He already conceded the race to Joe Biden, okay? And he even threw his support behind Joe Biden. But you can still vote for Bernie Sanders, because the ballot was certified with his name on it. The same thing here in Pennsylvania. You can still vote for Bernie Sanders, and you can still vote for Bernie Sanders delegates because their names are on the ballot. That was certified. So all of that process has to occur before they can print the ballots. Well, once you get to that stage, it's at that point that we start looking at who requested the mail-in ballots. And I want to be very specific. Who requested the mail-in ballots? Now, this is an issue because they didn't even know how they were going to do it yet. There was like some confusion. So, okay, fine. We didn't know, was it going to be entirely a mail-in vote? Was it going to be, okay, how many polling places there were going to be? Because we didn't know who was going to actually let us host polling places, because of COVID-19. There was a lot of confusion, especially in light of what happened in Wisconsin. And I'm sure y'all all saw on the news that, they changed whether or not they could do all mail-in at the last minute. And so people had to run to the polls to vote. And so they had lines down the street, around the corner, the polling places were moved. They didn't have an opportunity to educate the voters on where these things were. And we're really trying to make sure that we are not at those same places for this election here in Pennsylvania. Okay, so now what happens, is that we have the voter mail-in ballot. Well, you can't just get a voter mail-in ballot. You can't even go to the commissioner's office and get one. All you can get is a request for a mail-in ballot. And the reason for that is because every mail-in ballot, it comes as real official. There's a scan on it so that they know that they sent it to you. And that's great if you are computer savvy and you have an email and you have an ID that is actually, listed in the state ID acceptable forms of ID to request the ballot, and you're savvy and you can fill it out correctly and you get it timely. And we just had our friend Ernie Bristow on here who told us that she requested a ballot on May 1st and was told as of May 17th that it's still pending. So we know 16 days have gone by. Today is May 18th, and we have until the 26th to actually request a ballot. You have until the 26th to request a ballot. And then you got to assume and hope that you're going to get the ballot in time to get the ballot, fill it out, mail it back, and make sure it is received in the county commissioner's office by 8 p.m. on the day of election. So it must be in the county commissioner's office by 8 p.m. on election day on June 2nd, 2020. If your ballot is not in the commissioner's office at 8 p.m., your vote will not be counted. I'm going to do this one more time. If you complete all the other processes and put it in the U.S. Postal Office, postal mail, and it is not delivered until 9:30 p.m. on June the 2nd, 2020, guess what? Your vote won't be counted. If it doesn't happen until the mail drop on June 3rd of 2020, guess what? Your vote will not be counted. Yes, last day to register to vote. Yes. So now what happens is we don't know. We don't know. We do know if you have a computer, like Ernie Bristow told us earlier, and you go to pavotes.com and you request your ballot and you fill it out correctly, you will get an email confirmation that your request has been received. And then you will get another email that will tell you whether or not your request has been accepted to generate sending out a mail-in ballot to you. And then, but that's again, if you have email. So if you only have a hard copy, you're filling it out as a paper and you send it in, you have no way to track that. So then you get it back. Okay, let's assume that you get it back. Okay, so now you fill it out. Now you got to make sure you get it back timely and it's back timely. But what if you don't get it back timely? So what happens if it's June 1st and you don't have a ballot? Well, you can go vote on June 2nd, or you can attempt to vote. So what's going to happen is you show up on June 2nd because you requested a ballot and you didn't receive it. So you can go to your polling place and demand a provisional ballot, which means that you can vote contingent upon nowhere in the system they have you with a ballot that was sent to you. Okay, that's contingent upon. So now you got to swear out that you did not receive the ballot and you're going to get a provisional ballot. Provisional ballot is just that. It is provided, meaning it is not walk up to the machine, use the machine, get your vote counted. It's a sidestep. So you don't get your ballot back. You can fill out the provisional and it is counted in the provisionals later on. So the best I can give you is kind of like, y'all remember Bush Gore 2020 with the hanging chads and the chad hanging and they were still counting the votes. It's the same thing. They're going to come in later with the provisional ballots and count them. So, Gilda, you have to actually send them. You can take them to the commissioner's office in City Hall, but those are listed and registered hours. You can actually call Philly 311 for that information. If somebody who's on the live can actually help me out with the commissioner's office, because I can't pull it up. Like I said, I'm out of social media studio, so I'm a little bit, out of sorts with this here thing. But you can call either Lisa Dealey or Omar Sabir or Alan Schmidt down at the commissioner's office. Their numbers are listed, and you can find out exactly where this is. Any plan for vote by mail if ballots don't get mailed in on time? So Jacqueline Brunson, if the ballots are not mailed in on time, that means that, or you don't get a ballot, that means that you can go to your polling place and do the provisional ballot. Now that's going to be the next step that is difficult. Nobody's polling place is where it was. So my polling place that I have, voted every election twice a year, my entire voting history has been at the corner of this here block, at the Salvation Army, at the corner of 55th and Arch. My polling place for the 4th Ward for 1st Division has been moved to the Barry School at 59th and Race. I always get that wrong. At 59th and Race. So that means that we're also going to have to spend time educating folks as to where their new polling places are. And that's going to go up on our website and on my Facebook. But I want you to know it's already on the website at www.patterson4190 190th.com, www.patterson190th190th.com. Also, you can call our offices and we will let you know which ward and division you need to vote in. That is 267-291-4702, 267-291-4702. We'll have all that information for you and we'll make sure that you can get your vote counted. There's quite a few going on over here. Yeah. Also, yes, Alexandra, as when you get a confirmation number, if you do it online, that's the thing. And we know what the folks in the 190th look like. We know that we have an aging population. We've got an older population. They're here from my Facebook Live because they can do that. They say that Facebook is where the old people are, like myself. That's who's on Facebook. So they can do that, but they always can't do things like, do their social security online and those things. A lot of times they need assistance. It's one of those things that I used to do at the Achievability office as a community volunteer, is to work and to make sure that people, had gotten their social security stuff updated so they could get, electronic funds transfers instead of those hard checks. One of those things so we could get folks who could get their additional benefits as senior citizens so they could get their additional benefits like, health or transport. Is that one of the things that we need to do in our community is assist them. Yes, Zahira, COVID-19 has changed the rule book. There is no rule book. They out here winging it. It's going to be Ernie. We got 15 days of the election. It's 15 days, and every day we develop a new plan on the plan for the plan, because as we see even from today and the food delivery and drop off, is that plans change all the time during the pandemic, and you've got to be flexible and you've got to be able to turn on the dime and respond. And hey, that's what we have to do as a community. But I think definitely, as someone who lives in the 190th, I know that I want representation that is forward thinking, that responds to crises, that actually makes new plans, is innovative, and actually that does the work. Not just the facial work, but the deep down level, day to day, call you on the phone, get behind the computer, do the research, talk to the people, that kind of work. Because that's the hard work, okay? I mean, hey, I can smile pretty for the camera. Y'all saw me do it earlier, but y'all just don't know about those late nights making sure that I was getting SBA.gov information in timely, or trying to help folks complete tax returns so that they could be eligible to apply for these different grants. That's that different kind of work that honestly, I know that I am differently situated than the other folks in this race to be able to assist you with directly. That's the kind of expertise that I have. Oh, Tamika, yes, the voter's card. So tomorrow's the 19th, correct? On tomorrow, May 19th, the commissioner's office is going to be mailing to every registered voter a card to tell you where you vote now. Okay, so where the new polling locations are. So I'm assuming that everyone is isolated or quarantined or sheltering in place at the place where they are registered to vote. If you are not, you need to call your grandma, your nana, your mom, your cousin, whoever's house you are registered to vote in, that that you need to know exactly where your polling location is now, because they have changed. We don't have any inside of the senior homes, so now we have that issue, whereas we used to have them there. Just an example, I vote at 55th and Arch, and now I've got to go to 59th and Race, and that's about 8 city blocks difference. So for those folks who need to walk, that's a walk. For those folks who need to walk, that's a walk. And so we're going to pray for good weather, because that's not going to help that situation either. Yes, Zahira. Well, I have found that my seniors are actually not just they're concerned about what's going on. They're the most mistrustful of the system, and I guess that's because we've been seeing, and I know I've been seeing in my whole life about how elections are stolen and voter fraud, and they're concerned about it because these are the folks. Remember, these are the super voters who've always voted. These are the folks who were out there who fought for my right to be able to vote, okay? Who made sure that they were boycotting buses and that they were making sure that I had all my civil rights. So these are the folks who are most serious and who do not miss an election. So even the concept that they might miss one is causing them tremendous, tremendous fear. I hear it every single day. They're so concerned. And just like Tish Bond said earlier, my mama has never missed an election, and she is determined she's not going to miss this one. It's that important to her. And I'll give you an example. My mother during the Trump so what was that? So during the Trump year, the year he won, when Hillary Clinton was running, my mother was actually in a rehab facility and insisted that I got her an absentee ballot because she didn't know when she was going to get out. Now her release date was actually before the primary, and her thing was she didn't care if it was before the primary. She wanted to make sure that she got the timeline in to vote. So that was the last election that my mother voted in. And in actuality, she passed away before she would have gotten to the polls. But her vote was counted because she mailed it in before her date of death. Yes. So just trying to make sure that I answered everybody's questions because it's a lot of confusion. So what I'm going to just tell you to do, what I'm going to ask of my friends is I'm going to make sure that I keep posting the information through to the last day that you can get it. But the other thing is, hey, if you know somebody who requested a vote in by mail, who mailed it in, can you get them to follow up, call the commissioner's office? And can you let us know that they sent it in? And we can follow up with the commissioner's office. Hey, this is we can follow up with the voter. Hey, this is the commissioner's office number. This is how we find out where your ballot is. We cannot let our votes not be counted. We're putting the effort in. I know I am. And then there's also that thing. So people ask me all the time because I recommend to you that, and I let folks know that voting by mail is the safest means to vote. But I have recognized every single alternative of the reasons that folks don't want to mail in their vote. And so somebody asked me, so I'm going to tell you about me. I am healthy. I am relatively young. I have the capacity to go stand in line. I have the capability to get to the polling place. I will be at the polling place on June 2nd to cast my vote. That is what I will do. That is what I have always done. However, I recognize that everyone doesn't have a means to get to the poll. Everyone is not healthy. Everyone doesn't have the ability to stand in line. And so I understand that mail-in balloting is a great thing for them. And we got to make sure that it works for them. So to my friends out there, please check in on your family, check in on your moms, your grandmoms, and your uncles and your cousins. If they need any assistance, we are here for them at 267-291-4702 or at www.patterson4190th.com. But you remind all of your friends and family that you will find attorney Danielle Patterson, the only attorney in this race, the only woman from West Philadelphia in this race, and the only individual who's actually ever drafted legislation in this race on the Roll with Joe on June 2nd. I'm going to ask for your vote again. Attorney Danielle Patterson, you will find me on the Roll with Joe on June 2nd. Push number 17. Thank you.